Okay. All right. So I just want to welcome everyone to our health call. I'm so excited that so many friends near and far are on the call today. This call comes at a kind of a pivotal time in my life, and I'm excited to share about kind of what's been going on with me and to introduce my guest, Carrie Drinkwine. And I actually have two guests that are here, both of them named Carrie, both of them regenerative health specialists. And I'm excited that they're here to be able to share just about their work in the regenerative health and their health stories. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started because, like I said, I know I want to honor your time and just get started. So for those of you who may not know me, my name is Christina Charlie. I have been in the health and wellness profession, doing holistic nutrition, fitness, yoga, ministry, all the things for 20 years. And I've been in ministry for over 16 years. And I am passionate about helping women to find freedom in their life, beginning with their mind, body, and spirit health. And, it's probably been about 7 months now. I was just getting ready to launch a new program with my my health and wellness group. And, God pretty much told me in one way than in many ways, actually. And if you guys are coming on and don't mind muting your phones, if you guys could mute as you're coming on, that would be great. I found myself in a health crisis. And what that means is I was in a high amount of stress, and that stress culminated into where I found myself in pain to the point that I couldn't even go on walks. That's how much pain I was in. And those of you who know me know that I love my fitness. I love my mental health walks. And, I have a whole fitness membership where I do workouts, all kinds of workouts for, my clients. And so basically what happened was I had a really intense fibroid flare, and I'm just going to show you guys a picture. I'm going to share my screen with you. And it got to the point where I was in so much, like I said, so much pain, I had to stop everything. And I decided that I was going to put my health coaching on hold so that I could take care of my health. You may or may not know that I have a sister who passed from cancer when she was just 32 years old. And at that time, I began to have a lot of fear that maybe I also had cancer because the pain was so intense. My belly was so extended. The tumor was popping out of my belly. And I was really concerned for my own health. And for the sake of my kids, I kept it quiet. I tried as much as I could to walk around as if nothing was going on with me. And yet I was in a lot of pain. And so if you can see these things sticking out of my belly, this was one of two very large tumors that I had. And I began really just praying and asking God to show me how to help my body to heal. I spoke with my doctor, and at the time she told me that I would need to get a full hysterectomy, but she was very concerned for me because I had already had 4 C-sections and I've had hernia surgery repair, and she had already could feel the adhesions and the scar tissue that I had. And she said, this would be a high risk surgery that I don't feel comfortable doing. You would need to have somebody else do this. And she referred me to an oncologist. And, she basically let me know that she couldn't guarantee that I would be out of pain. And so at that time, I decided to pray and decided to ask God to show me how to go about getting better myself. And that began a hunt for me to try to understand, how did I get here? I was someone been dedicated to my health for over 20 years. My kids say to me, Mom, you're the healthiest person I know. How could you be sick? And I said, I don't know, and I need to find out. And so what I found out was that my lymph system, my kidneys, and my liver were just not working as they should. There was so much of a toxic load in my body that I was in acidosis. And so, you know, my body was forming to protect itself, was forming tumors so that the acid would not just go through the rest of my body. And so I began seeking out, how can I get to the root of healing my body? Because even if I got these tumors taken out of me, if I didn't fix why I had gotten them in the first place, I knew that it could turn to something else. And so as fate would have it, I came across someone that introduced me to Carrie Drinkwine. And when I got to know her, I was so taken by just her knowledge of medicine, her knowledge of natural health and how to help people heal, and just her own story. She had healed herself from 3 autoimmunes, and I'm going to let her tell her story. She has a institute that she's teaching other people how to be regenerative health practitioners as well. And I was just floored that there was a whole community of people that were getting to the root cause of disease. And so I began working with her, and she got me connected with the nutrition and the detox that I needed to really continue the health journey that I had already been on. And if you guys can tell me, how do I stop sharing my screen? I'm like bebopping around here.
There's like a little bar, and you should just be able to hit stop share. Like
I think I like minimized my screen.
So hit escape.
Okay.
And then you should see the stop share option. Or if you know how to make me a co-host, I can do it.
Let me see.
So if you click on participants and then click on my name and then click on the more option. Then you can click make host or make co-host.
Oh, I see it. Okay. I see it now. There we go. All right. Okay, so Carrie, do you want to go ahead and?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay.
Well, thanks everybody for taking the time to be here. I really appreciate it. I know how valuable time is, right? And it's not a renewable resource. So thank you. And I want to just introduce myself. Christina, thank you for your beautiful share and your vulnerable share. I mean, that is like something that a lot of women don't talk about, but that a lot of women are suffering with: PCOS, endometriosis, right? These cysts and tumors in the body. And my story was different. I had lupus, Hashimoto, and fibromyalgia, as well as like chronic adrenal fatigue. I could barely walk. I couldn't get out of bed very well. I really was not able to mother or to like do life well. And I was 30 years old when I had this diagnosis. And at the time, much like Christina, I had a background in health and nutrition. I had an undergrad in dietetics and nutrition science, and I went for a master's in holistic nutrition. So I really considered myself healthy and well-versed in the field of nutrition. So I was really shocked and dumbfounded when I found out, like, well, how am I sick? I'm doing what I was taught. And it really resonated with me that at that moment that obviously I didn't know anything about health, and that what we're being taught is so surface level in school, right? We're being taught about macros and exercise and like basic things, but we're not talking about the environment in the body that causes disease. And this is really what I want to kind of share with you today. And we'll talk a little bit about regenerative health and my journey too. But it was this moment when I received this diagnosis, and I said to my doctor, I said, well, how does this just happen? Like, I didn't have it a year ago. I didn't have it 5 years ago. How does this just happen? And she said, well, we don't know, but it does. And you can't reverse it. As long as you take these drugs, you'll live a relatively normal but abbreviated life. And that was like an acceptable answer to her. And I remember feeling like a combination of like shock and then like simultaneous rage for her cold delivery, like not even like, and I'm like, you're a doctor. What do you mean you don't know how this happens? Because I really believe that we are trained to go to the white coat. We're taught, go to the doctor, they'll help you get better, right? But, and this is not an anti-Western medicine by any means. This is just a really where my awakening came of like, oh, they aren't trained this way. They aren't trained to understand the cause of disease. They're just trained to study the disease symptomology of the disease and the treatment of the disease. So they aren't trained in how to reverse disease or any of that. And so I just felt in my bones. I remember getting in the car and crying really, really hard. I mean, I cried like so hard, I think I was shaking. And then it like turned from sadness into like just this pure, clear, coherent message of like, I'm going to reverse this. I know that if this can happen to me, I can undo it. Something changed. I went and I had just gone through a pretty heavy divorce. I exercised a lot, which you would think that's good, but that actually can be building too much acid in the body. And there were multiple things. And luckily, the other Carrie that you're going to meet here today is the person that I met after going to Western. I went Western medicine. I worked with a lot of naturopaths. I worked with rheumatologists, endocrinologists, hormone specialists. I went to a women's hormone functional medicine practitioner that was supposed to be the best of the best and just put me on more drugs and more antibiotics that I didn't take. And then my last stop was working with Carrie Tidwell in the field of regenerative detox. And the reason it was last stop is because you don't keep going after things work. So I was opened, my mind was completely opened up to things I had never heard, like understanding kidney filtration and the lymphatic system being backed up. And when we're in an acidic state, it creates inflammation and an overgrowth of pathogenic bacteria, and it breaks down our tissues and cells and causes our body to trigger autoimmune reactions. And I was like, what? And Carrie was my massage therapist. She was giving me a massage. And I specifically remember that day I called and canceled my massage because I was in what we call like a lupus flare. Like I was really swollen and it hurt to touch my body and had like rashing. And then something in my being was like, you need to go to that appointment. So I picked the phone back up and went. And then when I got there, I just kind of started talking to her. And I was like, I don't know why I'm here. Like I'm in a lot of pain, but this is what's going on with me. And she was like, I know exactly why you're here. And she just started explaining this whole system to me. I became very fascinated, but also hesitant, as most of us are with health journeys, that we feel like we've tried everything, right? And everybody says they have the answer. There's a lot of information in the field. There's just so much out there. It's hard to say what's real and what's not. But I realized at that point that I had nothing else to lose but my life. And I did everything that she told me to do. And really in a short period of time, it was like 5-ish months, I had a complete reversal of all of my autoimmune conditions. Nothing detectable in my blood. I was off of all meds, was off of thyroid meds. And I was kind of like, it was this simple. Like, how do people not know this information? Everybody needs to know this information. It's so empowering to see that like we can have our own personal health sovereignty. So I went to school where Carrie went to school. I studied with Dr. Robert Morse at the International School of Regenerative Detox. I studied iridology. I studied gut health with Dr. Zach Bush. And I went on a rabbit hole really to learn everything I could in the field of what I call regenerative health. And that is regenerating the body from chronic illness. And I really believe that, I know that what we don't understand is that disease is created, not caught. It is not something that you actually even get genetically speaking. What is genetic is tissue weakness. Maybe grandpa had a weak heart or grandma had a weak thyroid. And so mom had a weak thyroid. What that means is that tissue, genetically speaking, is coming in weakened in the body. However, if you are in a very strong and alkaline environment, you actually encourage restoration of tissue and cell. You actually regenerate and repair the body. So Carrie Tidwell's favorite saying is lifestyle or genetics loads the gun and lifestyle pulls the trigger. And it couldn't be more true. So I was following a lifestyle of higher acid. Even though I was exercising too much. I was on too much protein because I was taught that protein was what the body needed. I was not eating any fruit because I was taught that fruit was sugar and it makes you fat and Fruit feeds candida. And I was just doing everything wrong. My kidneys weren't filtering. My lymph system was backed up with excess proteins, which are acidic, and it caused chronic disease in my body. And so to reverse that, I really went to reverse my environment. My environment was on the acid side. We are an alkaline species. We need a 7.4 pH. And so when you're drinking a cup of coffee, that's a pH of 1. When we're eating a piece of meat, that's a pH of 1. When we're having an egg, that's a pH of 2. And so I started realizing that we're looking at food all wrong. We're looking at disease all wrong. We're looking at like this random thing that just happens in the body, but it's happening because of the chemistry of the foods that we are introducing into our bodies. And the level of chemicals that we are exposed to in our environment. So there's 3 main really causes of disease. And number 1 is acidosis, the body becoming too acidic. We are an alkaline species. Our blood pH can never alter from 7.4. And when it does, we have death immediate in the blood. Our cells cannot alter from 6.8 is as low as the cellular pH can go. Otherwise, we have uncontrollable metastasization or uncontrollable division of cells, also known as cancer. And below that is death. So we have a very small window to play in. So we're a very alkaline species. So we need to be focusing on the chemistry of what we are putting in our body. So the main cause of disease is acidosis. The second main cause of disease is an overabundance of pathogens and microbes in the body. Pathogens, microbes, viruses, parasites, they are there to clean up a mess. We could give a really long lesson, but I won't. You will not have a parasitic environment if your environment is alkaline. Parasites are there to break down that which no longer supports life. So if you have an excess amount of starch in your system, your digestive system needs more candida bacteria to break that down because you're eating too much starch and sugar. So it will populate more. Those bacteria become systemic. They break the gut tight junctions in the gut lining. They get into all the places in the body. They make into the blood, and then all your glands and organs have pathogenic bacteria. Parasites will come in to eat up heavy metals and to feed on weak cells. So they wouldn't be there if you were in a strong, healthy environment. But they are there because you're not in a strong, healthy environment. And then they start to flood the system and the body starts to go down because it's overloaded with parasites and viruses. And the third main cause of disease is toxicity. So toxicity is not the same as acidosis. You could eat 100% organic free-range meat. It is not toxic, but it is still acidic, right? It's an acid chemistry versus yes, eating an organic free-range meat is significantly better than eating McDonald's hamburger, right? But toxins are like environmental. So we are exposed to I think it's like 5 trillion pounds of glyphosate is poured into our environment every single year. Glyphosate is a carcinogenic toxic chemical pesticide that was deemed safe and legal by the United States government in 1980s. And in 1980, we had 1 in 6,000 children with autism. Now we have 1 in 36. And we are on the trajectory to be 1 in 5 in the next 10 years. Just autism alone will completely collapse our medical industry. We don't have the level of support we need to support these children. We used to have autoimmune was like a rare thing. The word celiac, nobody knew what that meant, right? Now, 80% of all Americans are presenting with a gut disorder. 80%, from IBS to Crohn's to colitis to diarrhea to chronic constipation. And 50% of all adults will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. I mean, it's 11 out of 22 people on this call. And to me, that's absolutely unacceptable. And these numbers have increased by like over 6,000% since we saw the introduction of glyphosate into our environment. So it is of my passion to teach people that suffering is optional and that we have the ability to thrive by removing these pesticides out of our body, removing these chemicals out of our body, and giving our body proper nutrition to repair and regenerate itself. So what I like to say is when you put your body into the right environment, it self-heals. It's like when you cut your hand, you're not like, oh my God, for the rest of my life, I have this cut now. Right? Like, no, your skin heals it. Like you have an entire microbiome on your skin. You actually So just a little lesson for you guys. We have 75 trillion cells in our body. Between 75 and 100 trillion is the current numbers that are scientifically proven. And we have 10 times more bacteria than we have cells. So that means in one antibiotic, and you are putting yourself in danger. Your bacteria runs the cellular function. It literally is what tells the cell to do and how to behave and how to act appropriately and to carry out its functions. Without that bacterial kingdom, it's just a piece of DNA that doesn't know what to do. I like to say it's a worker that's never been given instructions. So they just, like, imagine if you went into a job and you got hired for this job and they come in and they say, okay, clock in, and then they don't tell you anything. You're standing there because you don't know what to do, right? That's exactly what a cell is like without proper bacterial communication. So the bacteria kingdom is very, very, very important to your health. So when you get an overgrowth of the wrong bacteria and you don't have enough of the immune bacteria, you start to see cell dysfunction. And we are in a nation where we focus on antibacterial, and your bacteria kingdom is the most important part of your survival. So we're going at everything from all wrong. Bacteria is bad, viruses are bad. Last fun fact for you is, I said we have 75 trillion cells, 10 times more bacteria than we have cells. We have 10 times more viruses than we have bacteria. The human body is 50% virology, virome. So viruses actually code our DNA and our RNA information. They've actually helped us evolve, adapt, and become stronger. So we won't go into a huge virology lesson today, but I just want you to understand is, like, we come from this idea that we catch a virus and then we're in trouble, or we caught a bacteria and then that's what made us sick. But if our environment was healthy and strong, the bacteria or the virus could not thrive. Their information is not needed by the body. Viruses and bacteria actually trigger our response of illness because it actually makes our body clean up. We get a fever. What is the fever doing? It's burning up pathogenic bacteria. We start draining. We're blowing snot out of our nose and coughing up stuff. What's the body doing? It's cleaning. It's brilliant. So we only get sick when we're in an environment that supports illness. So I hope that's helpful. And yeah, so it just became my mission to teach that suffering was optional on all levels. And I was a solo practitioner for 6 years. And I just hit my ceiling. Like, I could not help any more people. I was booked out months. I was like crying all the time because I never saw my kids, and I was teaching people that suffering was optional, but I was suffering now because there were so many people to help. And from that day, I had this dream. I woke up with like thousands of hands all over me in my dream of people saying, help me. And I woke up and I was like, duh, train people. So I then opened my own school, which I had no idea what that was going to take. And it was one of the most challenging things I did in my entire life. But we are now a licensed institute called the Institute of Regenerative Health. And we train and certify regenerative health practitioners. And I educate on Instagram, which is how Christina found me. And yeah, so this is my passion. And what we're bringing to you today is one of the really vital, important pieces of health that has really helped all of my clients transition into a healthier lifestyle and stay with that transition, not just do a cleanse and go back to their normal ways of life. And what we're going to present to you today is what Christina's doing. And it is after I took training with Dr. Zach Bush on soil health. And I learned that less than 1% of the United States soil, and worldwide it's not much higher, less than 1% of the earth soil is deemed nutrient dense. So even if you're eating organic, it doesn't mean, right. So I was like, what happened to me and how I actually found what we're presenting some superfoods to you today. It was almost 4 full years. It was almost 4 full years ago, not quite yet. My daughter was 7 months old. I was postpartum, and I was doing all the things that reversed my chronic disease: herbs, fruits, like eating all organic, juicing, no processed foods. And I didn't have inflammation. I didn't have disease, but I was in this like serious postpartum depletion, and I was losing hair like crazy. Like, it was coming out like, not just like a little postpartum shed. I'm talking like I would go like this, and like half of my hair would be in my hand. I was losing hair by the gobs. My skin elasticity was going, and I was like, what am I missing? And that's when I like really dug into this soil health thing. And I found that out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been teaching everybody to just use nutrition and herbs, but like whole foods and herbs, I would say. But I had an organic, and I had no idea that the food was nutrientless. And the reason is because we are fast farming, right? We have a huge population, we have to. And so what's happening is people are not properly rotating their crops. They aren't taking the time to grow in regenerative practices, which actually means like getting micronutrients back into the soil. We use what's called green manure, which is composting nutrition back into the soil. And so I learned in that class that supplementation was actually necessary. And you can't take supplements from an isolate form that's made in the lab. Your body doesn't know what that is. It does not know what 10,000 units of vitamin D is, or 10,000 units of vitamin C is. That is not healthy. And also, just a little side note, when we take an isolate, it's isolated chemistry, it actually sets off free radicals in the body. The body can't recognize what this is, and it causes what I call oxidative stress, which is actually advanced cellular aging. Well, isn't that the opposite of why you're taking vitamins, right? Like, literally, people don't know this. And then what happens is that the vitamin is such a large molecule. So say you're taking vitamin C and you're taking 10,000 milligrams. Your body can actually only absorb 60 to 90 milligrams of vitamin C at maximum twice per day. So we have this large molecule coming in, and what's happening is it's competing for entry into the cell with a bunch of other minerals. So things like magnesium and phosphorus and zinc. And now you become deficient in other minerals. And we start to see these cascading chemical reactions happening in the body from deficiency in mineral imbalance. So I'm only an advocate for whole food supplementation, organic whole food supplementation. And one step further is we are presenting Purium Superfoods to you today because they are the company that I aligned with so deeply, because they are growing in a regenerative way. So their farms are all over the United States, but their largest farm is in Utah. And all of the farms, Dave Sandoval, the owner, he chooses in very special landscapes. So like the one in Utah is in between mountains, and there's no other industrialization for 130 miles. So we're not dealing with air pollution, spray over, all of these things. And it's getting the runoff from the minerals from the mountains and that really rich rainwater that's coming in. And so that is one in and of itself, is the geographic locations of the farms. Number two is they do proper crop rotation, which if you plant tomatoes, you can't plant them in the same soil the next year. You need to rotate it because that soil needs to be repaired. So proper crop rotation is a huge important piece. They do that. And they also do what's called triple cross sow, which is a process that the roots get to go deeper to grab more minerals. And they use green manure to compost back down in the soil. And they're using spring water because the spring water contains all the minerals from the rocks and everything that's coming out. So this food is like as life-giving as it gets. And the last piece that's the most important is it's vine ripened. So they don't pick it 3 weeks early, because your average grocery store, that food is picked a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks early. How many of you go to the organic co-op and you find a rock hard pear or a rock hard avocado, right? You're like, I gotta put this in a brown bag for a week before I can eat it. That's not ripening off the vine. Your baby, once it's cut, the cord is cut, she doesn't keep ripening after that, right? Now they need external food to grow. Plants don't have external food to grow. Once they're pulled off the vine, the nutrition source has stopped. And now the process of fermentation has begun. And so because we do have to get things from a field to a truck to the back of a warehouse to the front of the store to your table, to your fridge, to your table without it going bad, we have to pick unripe. So it became very obvious to me that we needed supplementation. And I researched about 35 different companies. And that's how I found Purium, and they checked all of my boxes. Clean, no fillers, no additives, regeneratively grown, micronutrient rich, dried in the wind. So they're vine ripened and then they're wind dehydrated at 88 degrees or less in these 80-foot tall dehydrators. And they only dry their foods in the morning or in the evening so that they don't break a heat threshold, which breaks down their enzymes and their nutrients. So it's been a game changer. When I brought this into my life and my practice, it was like, I remember by like day 3, I was like the lights came on in my body. I wasn't reaching for vegan chocolate at 3 o'clock because I was exhausted and wanted a boost, right? I wasn't craving things. Like instead of being disciplined on my diet, I was just not craving it. I was just like, I felt good. I felt satiated. And my last testimonial that happened to me is that I used to have celiac disease. And as long as I avoided gluten or corn or soy, I was fine. But if I had it, I would get a rash and a bellyache and a headache really, really bad. And the Biomedic, the Purium has this product called Biomedic, and it's scientifically proven and third-party tested to remove pesticides right out of the gut. It removes 75% in 6 weeks. And this changed my life. So even though I had done all this detox work and reversed my disease and was running my clinic, I still had to avoid those foods. So if I went out to dinner with my husband, I had like anxiety, like I hope they know it like really has to be gluten-free, you know, like it was a quality of life thing. And now I am still gluten-free because I know that gluten's not good for me and it does cause inflammation in the body. But if I get some by chance, I have no reaction. Like my gut has healed. And one of the biggest reasons for IBS, inflammatory bowels, celiacs, Crohn's, all those diseases is because glyphosate actually creates a glue-like substance on the bowel walls called mucoid plaque. And when it binds with gluten or grains, it forms a sticky substance and it locks the microvilli in the substance. And so now the hair-like tentacles can't come out and grab nutrition, and the belly starts to swell and has inflammation, which then protrudes through the wall and causes internal gut bleeding and so on and so on. So when you remove the pesticides out of your body and you start to bring the right nutrition into the body, you just start to repair, and it's amazing. So that was a long spiel, but I know Christina wanted me to educate you guys as well about what regenerative health is. And so what we focus on here is helping people transform their lifestyles. Whether it's you just want more nutrition and better sleep to I'm ready to do a cleanse. We want to help you get on that path to wellness and really educating ourselves and our loved ones that suffering is optional and that we can reverse the environment that creates disease in our body.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. Well, and also just to add to that, you know, one of the reasons I decided to step forward again, because as you know, I had stopped doing my health coaching, was because of what I had shared. A lot of people were starting to come to me and say, Christina, thank you so much for sharing. And then they just began sharing what they had going on. And I've had so many women talk to me about the chronic pain that they've had, the inflammation that they're going through, the different diseases that are happening in their body. And even more than that, their daughters, their sons are having illnesses. I have one friend whose 14-year-old daughter has PCOS and is on birth control after having surgery. I had another friend say that her daughter was diagnosed at 19 with arthritis. You know, I have another friend who at 23 was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And I was just kind of mind blown that it's one thing when you know that older people, and not even older, 40, 50 are coming down with all these ailments. But when you start to hear that so many young people are getting sick, I was just like, okay, the healing that I want to help you all come to is not just feeling good in your clothes and feeling better mentally and spiritually. And yes, that's important, but I want you guys to have your bodies in a state where it can heal. It can, where you can deal with issues before they're full blown. And some of us are already dealing with full blown issues. And so that's why I said, you know what? I'm not 100% better. I'm definitely still in my healing phase, but I said, you know what? I want to partner with other women who are wanting to get healthy from the ground floor. You know, we're not just trying to lose weight, but we're trying to build a foundation of health in our bodies. And this is a great way to do it by detoxing, refueling, and getting nourished, and giving our bodies the chance to really thrive. So I just wanted to share that.
Amazing. Christina, do you want Carrie Tavol to share anything, or How do you want to go from here? Do you want to open up to Q&A or?
Yeah, because I know you're going to be needing to step out soon. So why don't we open up with some Q&A? And if we have two Carries, if Carrie Drinkwine, if you have to go, Carrie, she's going to share about what's going on with her and continue answering questions for you guys. So if you want to unmute yourself and just ask.
Yeah, so I can answer questions. So kind of how we do this is like, if you go look at the bottom of your screen, everybody should have a little thing that says reactions, and you can raise your virtual hand. You just hit raise hand. If you don't know how to do that, come on camera and raise your hand, and I'll just go in order, and you just share with me. This is a safe space and nobody's judging anybody. Like I've shared that I had chronic disease. And so if you're dealing with an ailment, I'd be happy to answer what I suggest and what would be causing that.
And just real quick, if you have to go, I want you to put in the comments if you want me to connect with you. Leave me an email or something in a way that I can connect with you if you have to go.
Beautiful. All right. Is it Samara? Or Samara? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
You want to unmute yourself and you can.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to raise my hand.
Oh, that's okay. She was practicing while I was watching.
Showing us how it's done.
Okay, Amy.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Christina, for inviting me. She knows that I'm very passionate about health, so to hear you speak is so exciting. So I so appreciate both of you. So I have obviously, and I've shared this with Christina, and I think most of the population actually already struggles with acid reflux, but specifically stomach ulcers, and clearly from the stress in my life. But I can't make all that go away. And of course, they put me on Protonics, which caused me terrible like bone and joint pain. So I've downgraded myself to like a Nexium. So beyond like just completely eating straight fruits and vegetables, what would you recommend?
Well, that is one of my top recommendations, because here's what's going on with acid reflux. So acid reflux has some primary causes. Number one is too high of an acidic diet, right? So what's happening in your gut, you have 4 layers. You have the mucosa and the submucosa, and then you have the muscularis and the serosa. Anyways, all that goes to say is all these layers serve a purpose. The mucosa has a 2-inch mucous membrane that contains something called alpha lipoic acid. This is a very important gut acid that eliminates parasites and pathogenic bacteria and metals. The more acids we consume every day, waking up, having a cup of coffee, we're burning this mucosa. Every day, waking up and having bacon, eggs, we're burning it. It's too hot. The foods are too acidic. So we start to break down this mucosa. And now we've lost our defense mechanism to some of these pathogenic bacteria. So I'm going to get to why that's important. And also what happens is the more acid we have in the body, acids leave behind an acid ash, which is dominant in phosphorus, nitrogen, and sulfur. Those are hot. They start to dehydrate the body. They start to cause lymph system to coagulate. This is what's causing growths and cysts and tumors and blood clots. This is the anionic environment that's caused from acids. Now, what happens underneath the stomach is you have these things called gastric glands. And these gastric glands are supposed to be releasing their acids. Well, next to those gastric glands, you also have lymph nodes that drain in the belly. And those lymph nodes become hard and they're not draining properly. So now you have acids just shooting up. So that's one causation of acid reflux, but not the only one. The second one that can cause acid reflux is the pancreatic malfunction. When we have too many acidic foods, the pancreas is responsible for producing what's called sodium bicarbonate, and it neutralizes the acid in the stomach. So when you have a low pancreatic function, because the body's like, oh my God, she just keeps eating acid and I'm so tired, I can't keep up with this bicarbonate production. The pancreas starts to get tired, starts to reduce its production. And now you can't neutralize those acids in the stomach and you're having acid reflux. So that's the second causation. And the third causation is actually most commonly what's actually happening, but what's not talked about. And that is an overgrowth of a pathogenic bacteria called H. pylori, and sometimes also called streptococcus, which is very hard to detect when it's only in the gut because you're not getting it in the bowels, not coming out in the stool, right? But what's happening is these pathogenic bacteria, because the mucous membrane has been broken down, that defense to pathogenic bacteria is weak. Now these actual bacteria produce gas. They literally produce their own toxic and acidic gases. So this is the way you kind of know this is, do you get it all the time? When you eat, when you don't eat, right? That's a sign it's bacterial. And what's happening is that bacteria is releasing its gases and you're just getting the heartburn, the reflux all day long. It is very serious. It does need to be taken care of. It is called acid reflux, but it's really GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease. It is the main cause of lymphoma and cancers, especially esophageal cancers. So you do want to take care of this. So I would recommend really going on a full-on cleanse to get the bacterial environment taken care of and cool the environment down. Let's get it alkaline. Let's get the bad bacteria out and let's get the right bacteria in, because when you eat fruits and vegetables, they actually have fiber eating bacteria. And so you start to produce more and more of these good guys and they start to beat up the bad guys, if that makes sense. So in your case, I would recommend an alkaline diet for at least 90 days. So I would say, 30 you're going to be good. We call the 90-day plan the good, better, best plan. 30 days is good. You're going to feel better. 60 days is better. You're going to feel a lot better. We always recommend doing 2 rounds of parasite cleansing because in month 1, you get rid of the big guys. But when parasites start to die off, they lay eggs. It's part of their natural defense mechanism. You always want to repeat a parasite cleanse 15 to 20 days after the first one. So if you just do these 2 cleanses back to back, we have a 30-day program, complete it 1 month, and then complete it the second month, you're going to have way better results. And then that last month is really helping the cells turn over and like really your habits form. Like they say 90 to 100 days is when you create a permanent habit. So we call the good, better, best plan. If you're committed to 90 days, 90 days, like you're living on drugs and having acid, like it's nothing. If you really think about it, it's like a blip in the radar. So I would recommend doing one of our transformations. Our most popular is the ultimate lifestyle transformation. And depending on if you're coming from a standard American diet, you can do our basic one. But then I would absolutely include 1 or 2 things extra if it's in the budget. Number 1 would be energetic. It's an adrenal gland support, which helps you with the inflammation in the body. And then number 2, if you can write this down, Christina, and number 2 would be the cracked cell chlorella is really, really powerful for like feeding the blood and cleaning up the system. Like it's loaded with like vitamin K. I like to call it like liquid chlorophyll for the blood. It's liquid nectar for the blood. And the reason why is we are only as healthy as the blood that feeds our tissues and glands. The blood is our food. So all the nutrients that you eat get broken down. The pancreas excretes them into the blood. The blood circulates and feeds every single gland, organ, tissue, and cell. Your cells repair faster when they have better nutrients. So those would be my top recommendations for now.
Awesome. And so will Christina share us a link to reach out if we can sign up for this and understand the prices?
If you guys think you want information,
yes.
Put something in the text box if you want information so that I can get that to you, because this is what we're going to be doing together and helping each other in April. We're going to do this together. I had a question about rheumatoid arthritis, and I know that applies to a couple of people on this call. How does this work when you have rheumatoid arthritis?
Yeah, so well. Okay, so rheumatoid arthritis, I have a video on my YouTube on RA. So Christina, what I would recommend is, do you have a Facebook group where all these people can like go to and you can post all this information? Yeah, I just post it there. My YouTube channel is just under Carrie Drink Wine. In parentheses, it'll say Wise Wellness. That's the name of my clinic. And I have a video on RA that's in depth. So watch that. But the basic synopsis is 1, disease doesn't happen in an alkaline environment. So we're in too acidic of an environment, which has caused systemic inflammation. Okay, inflammation. So say I walk in the door and I hit my knee. I'm going to swell up. My knee's going to swell up. I'm going to be really inflamed. but that inflammation is helpful. It's called acute inflammation. That inflammation is rushing some swelling there, some extra blood, some extra white blood cells to help prevent the area from getting infected, and it's trying to help it heal. So it's like, hey, we need extra helpers here. There's a problem on this knee. That's good. When you have repeat inflammation, like, every day you wake up and have the coffee and then the egg and then the meat and then that's chronic inflammation. So the system becomes backed up. They can't eliminate all these acids. It's like, well, I just spent all night cleaning up the lymph system, and then you woke up and gave me a whole pile of garbage, right? So the lymph system gets backed up, and the body says we're flooded with acid, and it sends out a signal to a cytokine response, which is a cell receptor response. The cells all have receptors around them. And the response of the cell says, it's hot in here, everybody inflame. Right. And so it's how it protects itself. So you have chronic inflammation in the joints, which causes a lot of pain. And then our lymph system is backed up, and rheumatoid arthritis is a very, it's a bacterial overload. It's a pathogen overload, and it's adrenal weakness in a highly acidic body. And so you can get rid of it by cleaning up the environment. When I was like at my worst, my body hurt so bad to walk, my joints hurt, and they said I was going to have arthritis in no time. And I'm here to tell you I have no body pain at all. And I birthed 2 kids since that day. And I cycle, I do HIIT, I do everything. So you can clean up arthritis. And what I would recommend for arthritic people is to do the ULT with the dark berry protein. It's our natural collagen support. No collagen. You don't drink collagen. Your body needs to make collagen. Your body is supposed to, like all these collagen things out there, like drink your collagen. No, your body is supposed to make it with the proper building blocks. So we have a dark berry protein called the collagen protein, but it is literally antioxidant plants and healthy plant fats and amino acids that are helping your body build it from inside out. So I would do the ULT dark berry, the Be Energetic to support the adrenals, to bring the inflammation down. And the joint flex would be very helpful with the pain and the restoration of the joints. That would be my top 3.
And I will say, someone that I know that is on, that has RA and is doing this, within 2 days said she's already starting to feel better. Like she could tell, and she is someone that's actually been going the medical route for years. So that's a positive thing that I got from her.
Amazing. Yeah. And we see it all the time. Like people come to me after they've been to every doctor, they've been to the Mayo Clinic, they come here and they get it. All right. Is it Mia or Maya? I'm not.
It's Maya. You actually answered the question. I was diagnosed with inflammatory arthritis, and I wanted to know how to heal that, but you just answered it. So
Wonderful.
thank you.
You're so welcome. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, and congratulations on your health too.
Thank you. It really is, you guys, the best. But like when you get this knowledge, it feels like freeing, because I think a lot of us in the back of our mind worry, like, am I going to be the one that's going to get cancer? Like Christina opened the call, like, do I have cancer? Do I have this? Right. And when we really understand health at this level, we have our own health sovereignty, and then we don't have fear. We know how to take charge of our health. We know how to change our health. And it's priceless. Yeah. Okay. Is it Jackie?
Yes, hello, Carrie, and thank you so much for all of your information. Well, I am the one who has cancer, so there it's said. I have multiple myeloma, which is a cancer of the bone marrow, the plasma cells in the bone marrow. And I am presently on a maintenance. I've been through a stem cell, I've been through a round of chemo drugs, and now a second round had a stem cell transplant. I'm sorry, I'm really tired because it's late, but and now I'm on a maintenance. And my whole thing is that at the end of my day, I'm exhausted, and I'm just looking for anything that's helpful. So I think I'm a healthy person by eating naturally. And I like to say that I'd like to exercise more, but I have no energy because I'm still working full time. And I find that at the end of my day, I'm just exhausted and have no energy to do a whole lot more. I mean, I have to literally decide in my week, what am I putting in this week, and what will I not put in? So any help is helpful. So
You're in the right place, and I'm really excited you're here. So I would definitely do a cleanse to kind of start getting some of this stuff out. There's a lot of chemical residue that comes from the treatments that you've had. Christina, I'd recommend a regular ULT and a Be Energetic to start. But I would recommend something else for you that's outside of Purium as well. And it's, I'm going to mention it just because I feel like I have to serve you in this way. But I would start what's called the Cell Defender zeolites, and it eats chemotherapy out of the body. You want that gone. Chemotherapy works in the initial onset to kill, but then the chemical residue that stays in the body causes advanced cellular damage later. And this is why people get cancers back and it spreads and all these things. This zeolite was invented by a biochemist that studies with chemotherapy, and it's recommended to do it right at like 3 days after chemotherapy to eat up the damage that chemotherapy leaves behind. It's powerful. It takes out metals, chemicals, everything out of the body. So I apologize, but that's what I would do for her is the Purium. Let's get the right nutrition in your body. Let's get the pesticides out, and then let's get the chemotherapy and the toxins out, and you're going to be sitting in good shape. Yeah. And it can be a lot at first, but I always like to say too, look, if you think like, oh my gosh, it's like $10 or $20 a day to eat this healthy. I'm like, you realize how cheap that is when you take out meats or coffees or whatever the extra stuff is. Like, we have extra money now. Like when I first bought this, I thought, oh my gosh, that's expensive. And then I realized that I wasn't getting coffee, and I wasn't, not coffee, but like my little things. Like I used to eat a raw chocolate macaroon every day. Well, organic raw macaroons are $2.50 a piece. So like taking that out, and I have a superfood shake instead. So if that's something everybody can think about here too, is like price swapping things when we cut out certain things.
And I've also resolved the price I even told my husband the other day, hey, look, I'm saving you from a very expensive surgery. And I had my chiropractor and another doctor that was serving me. They also worried about bladder prolapse, pelvic issues. And so I'm looking at it as prevention. And I'm looking at it as I'm not having to invest this money in trying to care for my health in another way. So that's one way I'm looking at it.
And our superfoods are really affordable, I think. So if you're doing a full 30-day cleanse, 100% organic, non-GMO, kosher, 30-day regeneratively grown superfood cleanse, you're getting 60 superfood meals for $12 a day. So it's $12 a day. That includes 10 amino acids and 2 shakes. And you're also eating food. We don't recommend that you don't eat. That's not what this is about. This is about getting the right building blocks in and changing the environment. So eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. If you're hungry 30 minutes later, eat some more. But I have 10 amino acids and 2 superfood shakes every day. And then I fill I kind of eat fruits all throughout the day. And then those 2 superfood shakes. And then I have a plant dinner. Now, somebody else might have fruits till noon, 2 superfood shakes, a veggie salad in the afternoon, a nice, delicious cooked plant dinner, right? Like you can make it what you want, but you'll notice you save money and you don't feel as hungry because you're so satiated. So the shakes can be a meal replacement, but they don't need to be. I often find like a shake and an apple and I'm good, or a shake and a banana and I'm good, or something like that.
I had a question about high blood pressure, chronic high blood pressure.
This is one of the easiest things to get down. So high blood pressure actually means low blood pressure, which people don't understand. What that means is that there is so much inflammation in the body that there is a low flow of blood moving through the kidneys and through the arteries. So what that does is, if you think of like a concert door, and everybody's waiting at the door to get in, and there's so many people like rushing the door. This is your stressed out kidney. So much protein, so many toxins. The kidney is full. And they said like, no, we can only let one person at a time because it's full in here, right? So like this is all this pressure at the kidney door. That's what creates high blood pressure, but it's actually just making a really low flow of blood through the body. So when you start relieving the pressure from the body, getting the proteins down, getting the kidneys cleaned up, getting the toxins out of the lymph system, your blood pressure comes down really, really, really fast. So the things that I support are the adrenals and diet. That's really it. The adrenals regulate your heartbeat. They regulate your nervous system function. They regulate all nerve communication, and they also regulate all of your steroid production, like cortisol, antihistamines, all those kinds of things, all regulated by your adrenals. So I would just all my blood pressure people have done just like a ULT, and they stick to the diet changes, and they do 2 months in a row. And usually by the second month, they're off their meds.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
How about diabetes? Because I know that's a big one, controlling type 2 high blood sugar.
So easy. Okay, I have a video on diabetes on my YouTube as well. I have a couple of them. Diabetes is created, especially type 2, 92% of diabetes is created by fatty liver disease. So when we have pesticides, within 30 seconds of exposure to glyphosate, it starts to tear tight holes in the tight junctions of your gut membrane. So what that means is we have leaking. So when we have undigested food particles and chemicals entering the lymphatic system, your liver's job is to process all chemicals. It's the chemical factory. Anything you eat, drink, breathe, put on your skin that's toxic, liver's got to take care of it. So the liver just gets overwhelmed with all the cycling of toxins and pesticides and things that are coming in and acids. And we start to develop what's called fatty liver because the body can't eliminate it. So we actually build fat to console it. Like the toxins stick inside of adipose tissue. I always call excess weight is excess waste. I yield towards gaining more weight. My lymph system struggles more. So my lymph system doesn't eliminate weight or waste as efficiently. So then my body builds weight and tucks all the toxins inside those fat tissue. That's why we have extra fat. Not everybody buffers like that. Some people use calcium, some people use cholesterol, and some people use fat. So we've all met the skinny girl that eats pizza all day and we're like, F that girl, right? We're like, and she's super skinny. Well, she's not any healthier. She's actually losing calcium. So it's just a different response. So in type 2 diabetes, the liver is too fatty. There's too much fat on the liver and it can't carry out its functions anymore. And what's happening is, I'll give the fastest science lesson I can because I gotta go on soon, is basically when you think of it, I've been at the buffet all day. You ate at the buffet, okay? All of a sudden, you eat food, everything you eat breaks down to glucose. Glucose cannot enter the liver or the tissues without the presence of insulin. So every cell has an insulin receptor. Okay, on top of every cell, there's a little receptor saying, "Hi, insulin, you can come here." And then the insulin carries glucose to the cells. So body breaks down food, and the body breaks down food into glucose, and the pancreas produces insulin for that glucose. Insulin and glucose find each other, and they travel to the cells, especially the liver. And the insulin knocks on the liver door and says, "Hello, I have glucose out here. Would you like some?" And the liver says, "No, dude, I've been at the buffet all day. I am stuffed. There's no room in here. You got to go out there. You got to hang out in the blood because I can't use you." So literally, the tissue becomes so backed up that it becomes resistant to insulin. So the insulin receptor has a block and it no longer can enter. So now we have type 2 diabetes. We have blood sugars reading over 200. We keep telling people that if they eat fruit, that's going to cause their blood sugar to go crazy. And it's not the fruit that's the problem. It's the fatty environment that's the problem. It's the high protein and the high fat. When you start to detox that fat out, you can eat fruit all day long. I heal diabetics on 100% fruit-based diets. If you want to learn more about that, Mastering Diabetes was written by Cyrus and can't remember his other name, but they won awards as plant-based doctors on actually realizing that diabetes is not a disease of carbohydrates or sugars. It's a disease of high protein and toxins. So yeah, we work with all of it. The first few days when you first start to eat like fruits and stuff, you're going to have a couple blood sugar spikes. Stick with the course, let the liver drain out and empty out. And by day 5, you'll be balanced. There's a whole video on that. We can't, like, there's so many topics we could get into for hours. I mean, but I want to just help support people. So people with type 2, we help people with type 2 get rid of it in 90 days.
And you had Hashimoto's. I know there was a question about that. Is that also with celiac?
Hashimoto is, it's obviously related to the thyroid, and it's if you have antibodies, if you have autoimmune period, you have parasite overgrowth. It is impossible for the body to attack itself. The body's immune system is modulated and regulated to attack pathogens, parasites, any sort of intruder. Someone's in my house, right? What would you do if someone's in your house? You're going to get a bat. That is what happens. So all of a sudden, our kidneys don't eliminate waste well because they get overwhelmed. The lymph system starts to fill with waste. I like to think of it as dirty bathwater, right? The bathwater starts getting really dirty. There's all these pathogens and parasites hanging out, and it becomes interstitial intertissue. And the immune system is like, what in the heck? Who's in my house? They're everywhere. And the body starts attacking. That's autoimmune. So the body literally can't figure out what to attack because there's so much in all the tissues. When it's related to the thyroid specifically, we often see heavy metal toxicity in conjunction with us. Now think of the thyroid. It's sitting at the top of the gut. This is the gut, right? The gut and then the tube to the gut. So usually we see gastrointestinal issues with that, heavy metal toxicity, pathogen overgrowth. Detox the body, you get rid of it. I would put this person on crack cell chlorella, and I would do a grain-free ULT or the Epi family ULT. So Epi family, grain-free, or dark berry. If they're coming from a standard American diet, the grain-free might be not as filling to start, and I would start with one of the other two. I avoid all grains when we have Hashimoto. So no grains at all. It'll cause more inflammation and more attack of the thyroid tissue. Okay. All right, Abigail.
Hi, Carrie. Thank you so much for this information. This is really good. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate Christina for sure. That goes without saying. But I think I was telling Christina that I've been trying to do a plant-based for 40 days, usually twice a year. I try to, and I feel better. I feel like I can taste things again now. I went to the doctor and I did my bloods, and then they said, "Oh, you're borderline diabetic." I'm like, "Stop! What?" I'm like, I don't understand. I feel better. I've been eating better. I've been eliminating things, and no. And then I have said, I have heard doctors say, "Oh, you'll just be on it all your life," because I am on blood pressure medicine. I am on cholesterol medicine, hereditary. But I'm like, no, I'm not happy with you're just going to be on meds all the time. I want to be done with meds.
Yeah, you can be done with meds.
I'm not happy with that. And the same thing with my daughter. My daughter was diagnosed with PCOS 8 or 9 years ago. She's 26. My son has got ADHD. He's on the spectrum. He's always sick. He got mono a few years ago, and since then he has not been able. I'm usually a horse. He was like a horse, and now he cannot stop having a stuffy nose. He's always sick with stuff. So I know that's a lot of his diet. I know his environment is jacked up. I know it is completely, but this is great. I really do want to do a cleanse. I feel like my mind's ready for that, but I really appreciate the information, but this is great. But everything you're saying, I'm like, that happened to me, that happened to my kid, that happened to me, it's happening to me right now. So, but I've got life to live, and I'm not done. So,
Oh, you're not done. You have so much energy, and you're going to crush this. I'm excited. You can totally get off of all those meds. That's a lot of heart garbage. So we will help you get what you need to get through it all. Lowering the blood pressure is easy. With the blood sugar, just make sure you're not eating fruits with fats or fruits after other foods. Fruits need to be eaten first, and they need to be eaten alone. That's the main thing people need to understand. We are all eating fruit as dessert. That is the worst time to eat fruit. Fruit digests within minutes in the pidilin of your saliva. So then it's digested and it's sitting on top of whatever you had for dinner, which is like a sweet potato and roasted veggies, and it's causing fermentation. And it's also causing fruits to be at the same time as fats, and the body trying to absorb them together, and we have a blood sugar spike. So your blood sugar could have been a false read. So I would really just keep proper food, combining fruits first, fruits alone, or leave them alone. That's my rule. 30 minutes after fruits, you can move on to other foods. So I eat fruits as long in the day until my body's sick of fruits, where I feel hydrated and my body's saying, no, I need some greens. Then I go into my greens, right? So I don't flop back and forth personally, unless I say I had a salad at noon. At 2:30, I'm hungry again. I want an apple. I'm going to have an apple, and that's totally fine. 2 hours after a plant meal, you can move back into fruit. But generally speaking, I'd say fruits first, fruits alone. That's number one. Number two is EBV. So mono is EBV. It's Epstein-Barr virus. Epstein-Barr virus is stuck in his system. He never got rid of the viral load. It's still living and thriving. And because his environment is a great host. And so he does have to clean up the environment in order to get rid of the EBV. If he's willing to do a cleanse with you, I would put him on the Epigenius family cleanse, because with ADHD and all that kind of stuff, and did you say on the spectrum? A lot of the ADHD, autism is caused by glyphosate and gut damage. 9 out of 10 signals go from the gut to the brain, and 1 out of 10 go from the brain to the gut. So our gut is the most important part of our brain function. So yeah, I can't say enough things about the glyphosate removal being, it's so important to getting people off of the spectrum. And Christina, for getting people off the spectrum, I would work with the zeolites as well. The zeolites have crazy testimonials of children that were nonverbal becoming completely verbal.
Wow.
Yeah, like within like 60 days. So when you clean up what's causing the issue leaves the tissue. It is that simple. So ULT, EpiKids for the son, a be energetic would be nice for his adrenal glands and system. And then you could do the same, or the dark berry is kind of resonating with me for you. The dark berry ULT cleanse, and try to give it a good 60-day run if you can. And let's get this down, and maybe 90 if you've got it. By summer, you're going to be feeling like $1 million. Yeah.
Do you have time for another question, Julie's?
Okay, I'll take one more. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're sharing. I've been writing down notes. You've touched a little bit on my issue. So I was highly inflamed. I sought out help from a functional medicine doctor and was diagnosed with celiac and Hashimoto's almost 3 years ago. I eliminated all inflammatory foods. I started an AIP diet, felt great, had more energy, lost weight. Then I hit a plateau. And my latest issue is my cortisol is out of control. Mm-hmm. So they want to put me on hormones, which I'm resisting. Help.
Are you on a high meat diet?
No, I'm actually, I would be happy going vegetarian. I've just been told, to add protein to my diet.
Totally. I know there's a lot of misinformation out there. So what you're dealing with is this happens a lot. People get better when they start to eliminate the stuff, and then they plateau because your body can't heal in an acidic environment. So if you're still consuming acidic foods, the body kind of comes to a halt with its healing. It can't get any further or any deeper. So I would start going the rest of the way. And the other thing that happens is when we focus on a heavily protein-based diet, which I'm not saying you are, but what happens is the adrenal glands, you are getting adrenaline from the gland of the animal, which is actually unregulating the epinephrine, norepinephrine levels in your body. So people feel, this is why really bad vegetarians that just eat like processed vegetarian food, they are not healthier than meat eaters, right? But people that like do vegetarian or vegan the wrong, I don't even like to say vegan because I'm plant focused, I'm plant-based eater. People that do it the wrong way, they feel better when they go on meat. And the reason is because they're getting adrenaline from the gland of the animal. And so it's a fake surge of energy, but that surge over and over and over and over every day fatigues your own adrenal gland. And so what you're left with is this, oh my gosh, I'm really tired actually. So you are dealing with adrenal fatigue, is really what is happening to you, the lull and the fatigue and everything that's starting to set in. I would most definitely do the Be Energetic, and I would do the dark berry for month 1, Christina, and I would do the Epi family in month 2, and month 3, I would go to the grain free. And I would add the cracked cell chlorella to really feed that natural iodine to the thyroid, help its function. That's what I would do.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. I wrote most of that down, but I missed a couple. So Christina, I'll touch base
Yeah,
with you.
I'll help you. I'm gonna go back and re-listen to the video too, and I'll make sure you guys all get it as well. But I'll help you guys get what you need.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And then Marta is the last hand I don't think I've answered. So let's just go for it and then I'll.
Oh, yay. Thank you. Okay, so recently I had surgery for a brain aneurysm, and that has been thankfully taken care of, but that left me with heart disease. Now I have minor vascular heart disease, and they tell me that I'll be on medication for the rest of my life.
I believe in the body's ability to regenerate, and I believe that healing is not only physical, but it's physiological and it's mental. And we have so much power through our mind. So first, get on board with the fact that you can regenerate. That's what I would say. Don't listen to those sayings that you can't. I was told
I don't believe that either.
Yeah. I would come with us and hang out with us for the next 90 days. We have a good Facebook group going too. If you guys want to be involved, we have so much support. Like we have 2 free support calls a week that are run by either myself or one of the other practitioners. They're Monday nights and Wednesday nights. So after you order your superfoods, you have support if you want to be plugged into it. If you just want to focus with Christina, you can. It's just an extra layer of added support if you desire. We have an app. We have recipe plans. We have all this stuff. And one of us practitioners go live almost daily in the group.
Well, the plan is for me to be able to, we're all working in community together. And that's why I joined this community, because I didn't want to just be a solo health coach like I've been. I'm so excited to have this community with you, to be able to offer to you guys. And so we're going to have a Facebook group where I'll be supporting you, and I'll make sure that you guys know when Terry and the other regenerative practitioners are going live to give you community support, and you'll be able to get access to the app that has so much goodness in it. So yeah, so it'll be like a full comprehensive package deal. So that's why I'm so excited to be able to offer this, because I'm not doing this alone. I'm partnered with some amazing people, as you can see.
Yeah. Yeah, we just love to link arms and make this as easy as possible for people, because I remember Carrie and I both, Carrie Tidwell, it was a lonely journey. Nobody was speaking our language. Nobody was eating what we were eating, right? Everybody's calling us crazy, and it was really hard. So my heart and mission is to make it as easy as possible and to build community around it, so we have other like-minded people doing the same thing we are. So lean into the support. It's all free with, what we offer is all free with your superfoods. We don't charge for it. And yeah, it's a beautiful system. So Marta, I would do a 90-day run with us. I would start with a regular ULT, and I would most definitely do a Be Energetic, because the adrenals regulate the heart function. And I would do a heart aid. Hawthorn berry and foxglove herbs are in there. They're powerful for regenerating the heart. So that's what I would do.
Okay.
What was it called? Heart aid?
Heart aid. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
One quick question. You were mentioning healing autism. How young can kids go on something for autism?
If they're 1, I mean, they can go on like, we work with zeolites on babies, but you can start the superfood that removes pesticides at 1.5, 18 months or older.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Okay, well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. This has been fun, and you guys are really engaged and committed and passionate group, it looks like. So I'm excited to be with you all more. Those of you that come along, I'm happy to come in and do an intro call and just say hello and welcome everybody, and you'll be seeing more of me.
Yeah. You guys, thank you guys so much for coming to the call. Wait a minute, Keisha, I know you, I'm sorry. Keisha, you did not say anything. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you. Keisha was talking about having hormonal headaches. If you could just speak to that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hormonal imbalance is caused by so many things. First of all, it's gut injury is number one. 80% of your hormones are made in the gut. 80%. So people don't realize that. And then the rest is regulated by the pituitary telling the reproductive system what hormones to produce and create. So the adrenals, the pituitary, and the gut are what's regulating that. But once you get the gut balance and you get the environment balance, you get the hormones balanced. So we will produce excess certain hormones in response to inflammatory foods, right? Like, what is a headache? It literally means your brain is swelling. That is not normal. We should not take a Tylenol. That is the body saying there's a big issue in my tissue, right? And so we need to bring the inflammation down, balance the environment. It needs to be less acidic, less heat. So really, it's like some of these protocols are very similar, and they're similar because the same environment cleans up all things. And, you know, we will focus on hormonal balance for you. So what I would do for that is I would do a regular ULT to start. I would do a B energetic to support the adrenals, and I would do the white American ginseng to help the hormonal balance.
Christina,
Yes.
Nicole, she came on. She was sleep. She woke up, but she really wants to ask a question. I think she has something up there. She had just had a baby, and she's been having a lot of issues going on. I think she's still on there. Nicole Walton. Can you see her?
Yes. Nicole, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
What
I
was your
just find a
question?
quiet spot. I was diagnosed with degenerative disc disease as of this year, and also adenomyosis and endometriosis. So I was wondering what I needed to do to get started in healing those issues.
All these started this year.
Well, the adenomyosis and endometriosis for, I want to say, about 4-5 years. The degenerative disc disease was this year or last year, actually. I was having excruciating pain, barely walking well. I didn't know what was going on until I kept having problems with foot drop on my left side, and also sciatic nerve on my right side, and really bad pain in my hips. And when the doctors went through my records, they had found that I had degenerative disc disease. Well, they found that when they had did the imaging of my uterus, but I wasn't aware that I had that. So it made sense as to why I was having so much pain when I was pregnant with my son. And I wound up having an emergency C-section with him. He came in at 37 weeks because at the rate that my body was going, I wasn't able to carry him, you know, any further with the pain.
Yeah. Wow. It's sending you a lot of love, because postpartum is such a sacred time, and you want to be enjoying that time and not in a lot of pain. And this is a huge passion of mine, is helping women postpartum actually enjoy their babies, right? And feel good. So sending you my love there. And then also I would say the environmental things that need to be cleaned up. So the body needs to be cleaned up. This is a loud cry for too high of acids. Your body's depleting calcium. That's what the degenerative disc disorder is. It sounds like you have a parathyroid weakness. The parathyroid gland is in charge of your body's calcium utilization, how well your body uses calcium and defends calcium and restores calcitonin. So if that's weak, your body, whenever you have something acidic, your body will take calcium, take calcium, take calcium. So you start seeing degeneration in the body. Now, you don't have to answer this question, but a lot of, I don't know if this is a factor, but a lot of people that had the intervention for the pandemic solution are dealing with some really advanced degenerative disc diseases, neurological, foot drop, MS, those sorts of things. And that could be a factor. If that is a factor, there would be a little bit of a different protocol I would approach with.
No, it isn't a factor. No.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Okay. So then I would start, Christina, with the ULT dark berry. I'm really supporting her to have that rebuilding. in the connective tissue system. I do the ULT dark berry and the Be Energetic to start. And then with you and I, Christina, can get together and connect. I really do think that there's a pain relief spray and a zeolite that I work with that helps shut this stuff down. So it's not, I feel bad even saying it because it's not about the Purium superfoods on this, but I think it's a need. But the first thing I would do is the nutrition and the environment, and you're going to feel a lot better. And then if it's in your budget and you desire to have deeper support, I'll send those suggestions to Christina.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you ladies. This has surely been a blessing tonight.
You are so welcome. I appreciate all of you for being hungry for this information, because it's like this that we're going to get it out into the masses through healing ourselves, and then we get to share this with others. I'm a mom of 5 children. So I know 20, 16, 13, 4, and 2. I started all over. But that was because I had autoimmune disease, right? I had autoimmune disease and I couldn't get pregnant. And we were trying to have one when my daughter was 3. When we gave up, we got pregnant, of course. So then we had this huge age gap. So we brought in a little partner in crime for her so that she wasn't feeling like an only straggling child with all these teenagers around. So that's why, but I just have a deep passion for helping mamas, especially know that suffering is very optional, and it is our birthright to thrive. So when we have this information, like, I don't know, it just feels, it's like, we get to take control over our trajectory of our health.
Yeah.
All right, the joint flex would be good too, Christina. But know that it's not necessary. It's just it's like we're putting sprinkles on, right? If budget's good, go for it. If it's like, I want to just try this first, just go with the 30-day ULT and then add on the sprinkles.
I would definitely, I'm definitely interested in it. How do we go about finding out information for the pricing?
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to you guys, and I'll get you, I've written down everything. I'm gonna go back over this, and I'll make sure that we connect within the next day or 2. So be looking out for my email. If you don't, also email me. Feel free to go ahead and email me and say, hey, don't forget me, and I'll make sure, because this is a big call. There was a lot of people that really are wanting to get onto this. And so just know that I'm going to get to you guys, and we're going to get started really soon. So, well, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you guys for this. If you guys know of anyone else that needs help, please direct them to me. We'll get them connected with Carrie. Both Carrie, the other Carrie was on the call as well. She's also here to support all of us. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys so much. And I have the recording, and it'll be sent out.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you again.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Bye.